The Pittsburgh Pile Driver Podcast is...
Oops, I'm breaking the fourth wall.
Breaking Kayfabe.
I need to find a vodka that I can do on the rocks. Not a mixing vodka that tastes like fire and death as you drink it.
Well, and that's what I was saying is that, like, a lot of people will tell you Grey Goose, and some people will tell you Smirnoff over ice is good just by itself. But
I've done shots of Smirnoff by itself, and it's terrible.
No, well, ice mellows out liquor, like any liquor. Like it changes. Like whiskey's more noted with it. Like it'll actually bring out other flavors. It'll mellow things out. Yeah, it's like a little bit of water or ice. Like it does the trick. But don't buy into the Grey Goose thing. In my opinion, Smirnoff and Grey Goose are the two best mixing vodkas. They're really good for making mixed drinks. But standalone, honestly, I don't. There was
is it Jericho? Does he have a vodka?
No.
Somebody has a vodka, I think.
I don't know who has he doesn't have the vodka. He only has the little bit of the bubbly. Which I still.
Or is it gin? I think either Ryan Reynolds or Hugh Jackman have either a vodka or a gin that's supposed to be really good.
Huh. You know what?
I'll have to Google which one of those two it is.
I was gonna say what There's actually a wine. Is it a winery or a distillery near me? I went to. I don't have a bottle. I had the bottle of it and I kept it so that I would remind myself. But the last time I cleaned up, I threw it away. Yeah, and it was made here in Clearfield County.
Nice.
And the thing is, a lot of people would probably joke about Pennsyltucky and, Firewater and stuff. But I'll tell you what, I bought a bottle of it, and it was really good by itself. Really good.
Yeah.
It was super smooth. Like you said, it didn't have that burn, that bad burn.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Ransom, what's your least favorite liquor?
Wow. Now, are you talking all around or least favorite liquor to drink just straight up or on the rocks?
Just straight up or on the rocks, either one. Just one that it's no mixers, just straight. What's your least favorite?
Least favorite. You know what? It's going to sound weird, but my least favorite to drink on the rocks is flavored vodka.
Ugh.
And the reason being is it smells like it's going to be good. And when it first hits your mouth, it has that inclination of whatever the flavor is, whether it's whipped cream or raspberry or
banana or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, you're like, ooh. And then half a second after it hits your taste buds, you're like, nope, it fooled me. It's just burning in pain. So I think that's why it's my least favorite, because it fools me into thinking I can do a shot of this, or I can have a little glass of this. And when it first hits your taste buds, you're okay. Split second later, nope. Fire, burning, terrible death.
Blech. Mine to have straight is probably tequila.
That too. That's just fiery, horrible, awful.
Well, and unlike a lot of other people, it wasn't one of those things that I hate tequila because I had a bad night on tequila. To me, it tasted like vodka that you put through a dirty sock. It just tastes bad. It has this metallic, gross, dirty taste to it. Yeah. And I find it very unappealing. And I know a lot of people love it. They love it for in margaritas and stuff like that. No. Have you ever had a beer-rita?
I've seen them, but I've never had them.
Dude, it's surprisingly good. And the weird thing about them is you can't use good beer. You have to use like shit beer.
Oh.
It's the damnedest thing, because at the vacation that the band alumni and us take every year, we get together and like we made beer-ritas the one time, and we used, I think, and when I say good beer, this is a very relative term.
Yeah.
It like we tried it with like Miller and Coors Light, but you got to go lower than that. You got to use like Beast or like Keystone.
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
You got to use like
that makes me not want to try it.
No, dude, I'm telling you, for me it was the same thing, because I was like, oh god, this is gonna be lousy. This is gonna taste like dog shit. And then you have it and you just go, oh my, that's refreshing.
I'm gonna have to try that now.
It's the weirdest thing, dude. Like, beer-ritas are where it's at. If you want the margarita experience, but without the awfulness of tequila.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm with you on the tequila thing. Like, I don't do tequila. I don't like the taste of it. And I don't even like mixed drinks that have tequila in it. Like, I don't like tequila sunrises.
No.
Tequila doesn't do anything for me. And there's only one thing that gives me the heebie-jeebies because of a bad night. I've had a few bad nights, but only one thing reacts to me like that, and that's 99 apples.
Not 99 apples, huh?
Have I told you the 99 apple story?
No, regale me.
What I'm terrible at making decisions. So for everybody listening, Ransom is terrible with life choices. And that will be clear at the end of this story. So what was this? This was freshman year of college, because only one person that I knew in the dorms that I hung out with was 21. So he was like, hey, I'm going to buy some stuff. We'll close ourselves in the dorm. Nobody will know we're drinking. It'll be fine. Hand over some money for something that you want. Now, I think I had drank one time before I went to college. Not like sip, but like, hey, we're going to do some drinks as an illegal child, of 18 years old. So what do I know? I don't know shit. So I'm like, they're rattling off different things that they've had, because I don't know. And the one guy was like, oh, I've had 99 apples. I'm like, ooh, apples? That sounds good. Give me a bottle of that.
Oh, no.
And I, in my infinite stupidity, didn't give anybody any money for anything to mix with. No pop, no juice, no nothing. And I didn't have anything. I was a freshman in college. I didn't have a fridge in my room, so I had nothing to mix it with. So I was pouring 99 apples into a cup and drinking it.
Oh.
And it was awful. And we were sitting on the floor playing poker, and probably about an hour had gone by, and I was a half a bottle deep. And one of the guys that we were drinking with catches on and looks at it and goes, uh-oh, you need to stop. And I'm like, well, I don't feel all that bad. Like, I feel like I'm a little drunk, but he's like, you haven't stood up in an hour. When you stand up, you're going to have a problem. And I went, it'll be fine. Bad life choice number 2. So I'm about 3/4 through this bottle, and I need to go to the bathroom. And that's when I first stood up. It's been about an hour and a half. Terrible. I hit the bathroom, and I'm like, oh, this isn't that bad. I feel great. Peeing. Uh-oh. Now fluids are going to start coming out of places that aren't my pee-pee. And I vomit.
Oh, no.
Straight into the urinal.
Oh, no. You were urinal puker.
Yep. And I didn't have anything to eat that night. So there were, it was pretty much straight 99 apples coming out.
Ugh.
Pure liquid.
Just green.
It's gross, but no chunks. It was pure liquid.
Oh, were you on an empty stomach, you sweet summer child?
Yeah, what an idiot.
Oh.
What an idiot. So I'm throwing up for probably 2 hours. Back and forth from my room. Tara gets down there at this point and is like, what are you doing? You're making terrible decisions. And I'm like, I know I did. Now I know, but I can't go back. I finally settled down.
Go back.
I can't go back. I finally settled down. So Beef and I had bunk beds in our dorm room. Beef and I were rooming together. We had bunk beds. I was on the top. I climb up in the bed. I'm settled down. This is February. It's second semester of freshman year. So it's February, March maybe. Pretty freaking cold outside because it's, Clarion County.
Oh, yeah.
So I have boxers on. The window's open. The heat in the room is off. I'm trying to freeze myself because I'm sweating through this whole ordeal. So I finally get myself under control. And luckily I did have a bag in my bed because Tara was there. She's like, I'm giving you this bag just in case. I'm like, no, I think I'm good. I think I'm fine. She's like, no, shut up. You have this bag. Okay, I have the bag. I'm good. So Bob, Bob.
Oh, yeah.
Bob bursts into our dorm room. And this is back when the Ozzy Osbourne reality show was all the rage.
No.
Uh-huh. So he bursts into the room, and in his Ozzy Osbourne voice goes, Adam, would you like a roll with some butter and bacon? And the image went straight from my brain into my stomach, and I went, no, I don't want to. And just, there was so much more. I don't know where it came. There was so much more. And from that day forth, I can't do 99. If I smell it, I get nauseous. I can't do it. What a terrible, terrible night.
I don't know. Like, I think I've told you personally the story, and I don't even know if they make it anymore. This is how little I go to the liquor store or anything. Did I ever tell you the story of it was like the weekend? I think I turned 21 on like a Thursday or something like that, like Wednesday or Thursday. And so the only thing that I did was, at midnight, my buddies picked me up. My friend Dave and my friend Brandon picked me up and said, we're going to go so that I could buy beer. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like go to the six pack. Well, it was a Wednesday. It was a Wednesday, so all the six packs were closed at midnight. You know what I mean?
Oh no,
they were all closed.
Yep.
So we're driving around trying to find one. None of them are open. They were like, "Well, we want to at least let's take you someplace where you can get a drink." And I was like, "Cool." So they took me to a place in Lock Haven called Brandon wasn't 21 yet, and Dave was just taking me to drop me off to get a drink and then come back out. Just one drink and, go in, buy yourself, buy a drink and, just so you can say you had one on your 21st. And so we went up to a place called the Saloon in Lock Haven, and I walked in, and of course, Wednesday night at the Saloon, it's dead. And I walk in and there's like three people sitting at like booths and one guy at the bar. I walk in and sit down. The bartender goes, "Can I help you?" And I was like, "Yes, I would like one White Russian, please."
Oh,
and
that beef drink of choice.
Oh, dude, I had to. Like, it was like the first drink on my 21st. I had to have a White Russian. So I go in and the person goes, "I haven't seen you in here before. You have ID?" Give him my ID. Did the math, and they were like, "Okay, hey, happy birthday." And there's this guy sitting at the other end of the bar. I sat away from him. The person just didn't make a big fuss. They were like, "Oh, happy birthday." And so they brought me my White Russian. I'm sitting there sipping it, and I'm going, "I've made it. I'm adulting." In true 21-year-old fashion. And God, it feels like yesterday. Oh God, I'm having a moment. So there's this guy sitting at the other end of the bar, and he looks a little rough, and he's wearing a leather jacket, and he kind of eyeballing me, and I'm just like, oh boy,
yeah, like please don't,
yeah.
Please don't.
And I looked at him, and I raised my glass, and I was like, "Hey man," and he got up off his stool and brought his beer, walked down, sat next to me, and he goes, "New in town?" And I was like, "No, I go to school up at the college." And he goes, "Oh, well, I haven't seen you in here before." And I was like, I'm going to get in a fight. This guy's going to beat my ass for something stupid. He's probably had too many beers. He's going to beat my ass. And I was like, well, no, it's because I just turned 21 about 10 minutes ago. And he looked at me and goes, really? And I said, yeah. And he literally put his arm around me and pulled me off my stool. And I got to say, hey, man, there's a beverage here. Like, so I was thrilled that I got to do that with a White Russian. And he just goes, hey, everyone, it's this kid's 21st birthday. And like the three other people in the bar went, like, just like, you know. Yeah. And he sat down with me and he said, well, what are you going to school for? And he was really chill, dude. He was super cool. Like, he was like, hey, man, what are you going to school for? And I said, oh, I'm going for music performance for classical guitar. And he goes, no way. I was a session drummer in Nashville. And nice. I was like, what? And he told me, like, just about his time living in Nashville and, like, working at studios. Like, he had a couple studios that would just call him for drum work. And he did that. I said, well, what brings you up here? And he was like, well, I'm getting older, and I had a good amount of money saved up, and I just decided to come back up here. I'm from up around here and moved back, bought a house, and just kind of hanging out. And I was like, so you were able to retire? And he was like, oh, yeah. He was just like, yeah, I bought a house, and I'm just kind of riding it out. And I was like, wow, that's the dream. Like, it is. Like, for someone like me at the time, you know, I was like, that's the dream, is go bust your ass doing that kind of work, you know, being a hired gun or getting in a band or doing something. And then just one day when you're like, you know what, I've had enough. Move back to a small area, buy a house, just wake up every day and go, what do I want to do?
Yep. Live out the rest of your days how you please.
Dude, and like I said, he looked a little rough, but he was only like in his late 50s. Like, he still had a lot of, you know, kicking years left at him. And he's like, yeah, I just kind of wake up and I'll just kind of piddle around the house or go for walks and he was just like, he's like, yeah, I just kind of like, I'll wake up and go, oh, I want to drive to New Jersey today. And he's like, and then I just come here and hang out, have a couple beers, go home.
Nice.
Like, man, that's like I said, even now to this day, that sounds like a dream. But the other part of the story was, because I didn't drink before I was 21, I didn't know how, like, alcohol worked, because I learned really quick that I could put away a lot of beer. I'm a big dude. So I was like, oh, I can put away beer. But then again, I was putting away Keystone and Miller and Coors Light and stuff. It's not exactly high test stuff. So, right. and I drink quick. Like, I just drink things quickly, water, anything. And it was that weekend, and my friend Brett said to me, he goes, hey, man, it was your birthday. I wasn't able to go out. Like, and we were hanging out at his place. We were just hanging out, and we were going to play some Halo and Guitar Hero and stuff. And a bunch of other band people were coming over later. And he goes, well, he said, what do you know, let me buy you something from the liquor store. What do you want? And I was like, well, I heard Captain Morgan Tattoo is good. Do they still make that?
I don't think they do.
No, and because the problem is, it was Captain Morgan, but it tasted like candy. So, like, he goes, all right, I'll get you a bottle of that. Are you sure that's what you want? And I was like, yep. So he bought that and a bottle of Coke for me, and he made me my first one, and I drank it down, and I went out there and I made another one. Drank that, made another one, drank that, made another one, and literally in like an hour and 10 minutes, I was done with the bottle. It was a fifth. It was a fifth of rum.
No.
And I finished it, and people were over at this time. You know, the party's just starting to ramp up, and you know, and it wasn't crazy blowout party. It was just us sitting around and stuff. And I looked at Brett and I said, hey, man, do you have any beer in the fridge or anything? I hate to be a bum. And he goes, he goes, well, yeah, but you have that bottle of rum. And I said, yeah, it's gone. And he goes, what? And I was like, yeah, it's gone. And he's like, are you okay? And I go, yeah, I'm fine. Why? And he goes, beer's in the fridge, man. Grab one. And so I grabbed one, and I went outside for a breather. And I crack my beer and I'm sitting on the futon on his couch. I'm just like, I don't understand what the problem is. I don't understand.
Oh.
Don't remember the rest of the night.
Wow.
I just remember sitting there being like, I'm fine. I don't even feel drunk. Gone.
Dead.
Yeah. I don't remember. And I learned from the hangover the next day that could have killed a bull elephant. I felt like garbage. It was the worst. So since then, I'm surprised it wasn't all rum, but Captain Morgan Tattoo was different enough that like it tasted different enough from rum that I can stomach rum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just glad they don't make that stuff anymore because it was, in retrospect, lousy.
I don't think they do. I could be wrong, but Tara really liked Captain Morgan Tattoo, and I couldn't stand the taste of it. I hated it.
It was weird. It's hard to describe.
Yeah. And I think they stopped making it because she started buying that Kraken.
Oh, Kraken! I love Kraken.
Oh, that's another one I can't stomach. I can't.
Love Kraken.
Oh, and she would buy that, and it was like, by itself, it was terrible. Mixed with stuff, it was terrible. Like, it was just all terrible, and I hated it so much. But she, for some unexplained reason, she loved it, and just
Dude, Kraken's different though. Like Captain Morgan Tattoo was like spiced rum with grape or some shit. It was really weird. Like, but Kraken tastes different enough. It to me it tastes like if Captain Morgan grew up.
Oh,
like
okay.
That's just me though. Like I like it. It's not. It's a good, weirdly enough, I thought it was a good mixing rum. It made a really good rum and Coke.
Oof.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I honestly...
It hurt me. It hurt me deep.
The thing is now, I think about it, I go, you know what? I really would like to have a night where I just, I'm somewhere, I'm not leaving, I can crash. I'm just going to drink and have fun. I'm not going to worry about how many drinks I have. I'm just going to do it. But you know what keeps me from doing that?
What's that?
The hangover the next day.
Yep.
Dude, hangovers when you're in your early 20s, early mid 20s, a hangover's nothing. It's nothing. Like you can shrug it off. It's got to be really bad for it to hit you. Dude, when you're in your mid 30s, ugh.
Yeah, I think that the night of the 99 apples, the next day I had a terrible hangover. My head was splitting, my stomach was upside down. Like it was pretty much the worst day. But I would say for the bulk of my college experience, which is probably where I did the most of my drinking, not all. It was very rare to have a hangover. But now, and I don't know what's different. Like hangovers are pretty much guaranteed, unless towards the end of the night I start peppering in water, like a full glass of water in between drinks. If I do that and then throw back some ibuprofen before bed, usually I'm okay. But if I don't drink water and I get dehydrated, it's headache city.
For me, it's basically like I've learned to feel when, okay, I need to stop drinking now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yep. And I think that helped me too, because I always had that mechanism where it was like, I can't say always because of the 99 apples incident, but most of the time, and it was most of the time after that, because that was such a bad time. Like I had that thing in me that was like, it was like that little, that little voice on your shoulder that was like, hey man, if you have another one, you're dipping your toe into trouble. Like you might not vomit on this next one, but there's a chance you're gonna. And it was always easy for me to shut myself off because I hated getting to the point where it was like, it's great, and vomit.
Oh.
I hated the vomiting, so I always had that little mechanism that was like, uh-oh, you're done. Like, you're done.
I know the first time, like, I had met you before, whenever I think it was myself and Zach and Beef came up to your apartment in the apartment building where Beef broke his ankle or broke himself.
Yep.
That one, I met you then, and I was like, man, he's a cool guy. This is really cool. And then the next time I think that I ran into you was your graduation party.
Yeah.
And it was really weird because I remember it was very short notice that I got the invitation.
Yeah.
Because I think Beef texted me and said, "Hey, what are you doing this weekend?" I'm like, "Well, I'm home from school, so I mean, I'm just looking for a job. Why?" "Oh, well, Adam wants you to come to his graduation party." And I remember even being like, "Dude, I don't know Adam. I don't know any of the people who are going to be there. Like, I don't want to impose. Like, you guys, it's your last blowout. You don't need me." And he goes, "Adam wants you there." And I was like, "Oh, all right. Okay, I'll be there." Like, and I rolled up, and it was before the party. Like, anyone was there. It was you, Beef, and Tara at your apartment in that alley behind the Loomis. Yes?
Oh, okay. Sorry, I lost you.
What was the last thing you heard?
The last thing I heard was Beef was like, "Hey, Adam wants you to come to his graduation party," and you were like, "Oh," and then I lost you.
Well, I will repeat for anybody who's listening.
Yeah.
No, and I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'll be there." And I rolled up early, like really early, and it was you, Beef, and Tara at your apartment that was behind the Loomis.
Yep.
And that apartment, I walked in there, I was like, you were between two bottle shops and around the corner from a bar.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, how did you guys get anything done?
Yeah. Like, how did you graduate this year?
Well, how did you graduate this year?
Oh, well, yeah, that's right. Beef didn't, so.
But
Stupid Beef.
That was the thing is that I was like, and I also rolled up to that alley and my little GPS was like, your destination is on the right. And I was like, what, where?
Is it?
I was like, are you sure? Because it looked like the back entrance to like one of the businesses.
It sure did. Yep.
But it was a nice apartment though.
It really was.
Yeah.
It really was. Like outside of the dorms, it was the nicest place that we stayed.
It really was, because I remember that apartment in that apartment building was real sketch. Yeah,
College Park, the one where Beef broke himself falling down the steps going to watch wrestling. The curse of WWE started, and it continues to this day. But yeah, that place was terrible. I think our stove was missing 2 knobs. The window in the kitchen didn't shut completely, so like it was cracked enough to where when it snowed and the wind blew, you could see snow blowing in through that window. It was ghetto. It was real ghetto.
It was pretty ghetto.
Oh, yeah.
But that apartment you guys stayed in was awesome. That was an awesome
the Main
place.
Street apartment was tight.
Yeah.
That was a good place. Parking sucked.
Yeah.
Just because it was awkward. But, yeah, the apartment itself was choice.
But that night was... I walked into your place, and the first thing that happened, I saw Beef, and Tara didn't say much to me. She was being real shy. But but Beef was like, "Hey man, what's up?" And you were standing at the counter, and it looked like you were doing dishes or something. I was like, "Oh, hey Adam, I remember you, man. What's up?" And you turned around and just literally like straight arm shoved a gin and tonic in my face. And and you were like, "Drink this." And I'm like, "What is it?" And you're like, "Don't ask questions, drink it." And I was like, "Yes, sir." And I took a sip and went, "Oh, gin and tonic." And Adam goes, I knew I wanted him here. Like you were just like, yeah, it was that. And the rest of that night was just a blur.
Oh my gosh. It was awful.
It was chaos.
Yeah, it really was. That was a chaotic night. It was very fun, but it was very chaotic.
Because I remember running out of beer, and you were like, "We're going to the bottle shop." And I'm like, "Where?" And you were like, "We walked literally outside your door 5 steps and went downstairs."
Yep. That was the bottom of the Loomis.
Yeah. And I was like, and you just bought a case of beer, and I was like, this is just here? Oh, because I had to either walk drive at least a mile to get to a six-pack shop.
Ooh, yeah, not good.
Yeah.
That was a blessing, but also the one day it was a curse.
Why is
Did
that?
I ever tell you the time that we got... Okay, so it was the weirdest time, too. Like, it wasn't like a Friday or Saturday night when most people were looking for, the six-pack shop. Nothing like that. It was a Sunday morning. We had just gotten back from breakfast, so it probably was maybe 10, maybe. No later than 10. And Tara Beef and I are sitting in the living room. We're probably playing Day of Reckoning 2 on the GameCube, because that's what we did in our spare time. And we never locked our door when we were there. I think we just never thought about it at that point. After this incident, we always locked it, but up until then, we never did. We're sitting in our living room playing Day of Reckoning, and all of a sudden, our door swings open. And this disheveled looking lady, probably in her 60s maybe, is standing in our doorway. And Beef and I are deer in the headlights. We are froze. Our eyes are huge. And we're looking at each other because Beef was facing away from the door. So he just heard the door swing open, looked at me, saw the look on my face, and just went into straight up turtle mode. Just froze. And this lady looks around our apartment, like standing in the doorway, just looking around, and the only thing she says was, "This ain't no six-pack place." She's got this raspy voice. "This ain't no six-pack place." Declarative. She's not asking us. She's declaring. And I go,
very declarative
no, it's not. And she goes, huh. Turns around and closes the door. And Beef looks at me and goes, "What just happened?" And I went, I don't know. And it was probably maybe 3 seconds between the time where she closed the door. Beef said that to me. I answered him. We were both up out of our seats. We swung the door open to see what this lady was doing. Gone. She fucked off in that short amount of time. She was straight up looking for that six-pack shop that was beside us on a Sunday morning, no later than 10 a.m. Fairly certain that they weren't open at the time.
Just like a thief in the night. Just like gone.
She showed up, declared our apartment not a six-pack place, and left. And just disappeared into the ether. From that day forward, we locked that door every moment that we came in.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Every time we set foot in that apartment, wham, deadbolt was on.
Dude, I get shit for always locking my car and locking my door, because, like, around these parts where I'm from, people don't lock their cars.
Oh, okay.
Which is insane for the amount of crime that we have in our area.
Oh, really?
It's bonkers. Oh, we have B&Es all the time, like it, and I go like, what? And then they file a police report about stolen goods, and I'm like, did you lock it? And it's always they didn't lock their car, and I'm like, what you were asking for, dude. Even up here in the and you've been to the Bungo household.
Yeah, you live in a nice neighborhood.
Yeah, like up here, the one night. And for all you people listening, I know I've mentioned it before. I live at home. I still live with my family. Deal with it. Deal with it. You don't make a lot of money in radio. I know. It was the day after a gig, that I had. So I got home in the morning. I got home at like 3:30 in the morning. I was exhausted. And this is before I started working out and losing a little weight and everything. So I would sit in my car for 10 minutes when I got home going, I got to stand up. Like because I throw myself around during shows like crazy. So
you're sore. Come the end of it, you're feeling it.
My knees and ankles and everything, just, oh God. Now I don't do that. So that's a good sign. But anyway, I wear a vest. I have this vest with patches and stuff that I wear for every gig. And I took it off and I put it in the passenger seat of the car. And I get out of the car, I take my guitar stuff, into the house, and I go in and I go to bed. And I swear to God, I turned around and locked my door, or locked my car. I woke up the next day and, got out of bed, got a shower and, everything. And I saw my dad and he goes, "Hey, you know where your vest is? And I was like, yeah, it's in the car. Why? And he goes, no, it's not. I said, what are you rooting around in my car for? Like, and he just goes, no. He goes, it's not in your car. It was around the side of the house. And I go, excuse me?
What?
And he goes, yeah, it was around the side of the house. And I was so confused. So I found it there. I hung it up out in the garage, and I was like, why was it around the side of the house? And then I realized I probably didn't lock my car, and someone in the wee hours after I went to bed probably was driving around up in our neighborhood trying to find unlocked cars, saw my vest, probably thought, oh, I'll bet you there's either money or drugs in here. And found it. You know the meme of the guy who finds the scroll in the chest, and after it says what he doesn't want it to, he goes, yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's probably what he did. He picked up my vest and probably found guitar picks in it and just went, yeah. And
wow.
Then the other cars were locked and everything. Oh, yeah. Dude, like, that's the thing. It's just because I live up here in a nice place. Now, that doesn't happen often.
Right.
But when it does, things are always crazy, like the crazy naked guy running around my neighborhood.
I don't think I ever knew about that.
Crazy. It was something. He apparently the street down from where I live. Apparently, this guy was high off his gourd, naked, running around, knocking on doors, and just waving his deal at everybody.
Oh my!
Yeah, and then just running off. So I said, I missed greased up naked deaf guy.
Oh, wow.
So we get stuff like that up around here. And,
oh my gosh.
And then the police get called and they're just like, what did he look like? He looked like a naked man.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean.
Like, I don't, yeah.
So like
a naked dude. What are you?
I wish I had stories like that from when I was in college, but like, I don't know. I don't have any. The only time is I found a guy on the porch of my house when I lived on North Fairview, right from campus.
Oh dear!
I found a guy passed out on my porch, and he was in one of my big fat guy comfy chairs on my porch. And I woke up the next day. I usually got up on the weekend, usually on a Saturday or Sunday. And I would go outside for a breather and a cup of coffee, and I'd sit in my chair and watch the parade of hungover freshmen walk back. That was always fun. And you see someone with the walk of shame, they'd look up at you, you just hold your coffee cup up to them. Just be like, hey, how you doing? But I go out there in my bathrobe, and I look over, and I see this guy just passed out in my one chair. So I went, So I stepped over him and sat in my chair. I had a cup of coffee. He rouses himself, and he looks like death. I was just like, what's up, man? And he goes, Who are you? I'm like, I'm Chuck, and you're on my porch. And he goes, this is Steve's porch. And I'm like, no, Steve. And he probably was thinking of my neighbor. I said, Steve lives over there. This is my porch. He goes, oh, bro, I'm so sorry, dude. I'm sorry. I hope I didn't make a scene. I'm like, dude, woke up. You seem like you were sleeping well. I left you alone. You want a cup of coffee? He's like, yeah. So he sat and talked to me for like half an hour, had a cup of coffee, and then just wandered off into the ether.
Oh, my gosh.
Like, so I have chill things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, we never had anybody pass out on our. Well, I guess we never had a porch. We had a stoop in both apartments. So Beef and I were in the dorms for 2 years, and then Beef, Tara, and I were in College Park, the ghetto, and then we were on Main Street. So in our apartments, we never rented a house, and our apartments never had porches. But one night during ALF, which is the Autumn Leaf Festival in Clarion, the big, town festival or whatever.
Yep, ALF.
Yeah, Beef and I were on our stoop on our Main Street apartment. That would have been the senior year. And we're having a breather and having some beers. And this guy comes stumbling down the alley. And he wasn't hiding the fact that he was straight up bottle drinking. Not beer. He was liquor. It wasn't even in a plastic, it wasn't even in a paper bag. Just bottle in hand. because like during out, people don't care. And I think the cops don't care unless there's an incident. Like unless someone's starting some trouble, the cops are just going to let people do what they do. So, do I still have you here?
Yes.
Okay, I heard a thing. I didn't know if I dropped again or not.
Nope.
So we're standing there watching this guy, and he's doing the drunk guy stagger, like 3 feet forward, 1 foot back, and then lean into it. 3 feet forward, lean back, 1 foot back, just down the alley, just doop. And he turns and sees us, and freezes like deer in headlights. He's just staring at us. And I think it's at that point where neither Beef and I looked away, but I did like the side whisper where like only the side of my mouth moved.
Yeah.
And I think I said to Beef, like, if this guy makes a weird move, we are going back into the apartment. I'll open the door, you dive in, I'll go in after you. And he just grunted at me, like I think he didn't say it, and he was just like, uh-huh. So this guy's staring at us, and but Beef and I were both intoxicated, as was this guy. So it felt like it was a straight up like 3 minutes of just stare down. But in reality, it was probably like maybe 20, 25 seconds. But it felt like a super awkward long time.
Oh yeah.
And he's looking at us, and finally Beef, the social one of us, looks at him and he raises his beard and he goes, "Have a good night." And I think that like broke the tension of what was happening. And the guy raised this bottle at us and goes, "Happy Alf, big tits." And continues his 3 feet forward, 1 foot back until he was down at the end of the alley. Raised his bottle up, looked at me and went, "Happy Alf, big tits." And continued on his way. Like that was like the little icebreaker that we needed, that both parties were like, "Oh, okay, we're good." Like he was like, "These guys aren't going to call the cops on me." We were like, "Okay, this guy's going to charge us. Everything's fine. Everyone's happy. We're good."
Happy Alf, big tits.
Like we're good. We're good. We did have one. Beef and I were in the dorm, and I can't remember when it was a weekend where not a whole lot of people were around. So I'm thinking that it was either right before a break or right after a break, because Tara wasn't there. No, you know what it might have been? It might have been one of those times where like the music department had one of those like traveling wind ensemble tours where they, will like go for like an overnight. And, Beef and I were both in the music department, but neither one of us were good enough to be in wind ensemble. That was like the big performance group. Most of the music majors were in that. Not a whole lot of outsiders were, because you had to be good. And clearly Beef and I were not. So Beef and I were in our dorm room one night, and I think, we're just probably just BSing. Maybe we're playing, Xbox or something. And we hear this huge gadoosh. Like someone tried to kick our door in. And Beef goes, "What the hell was that?" And I'm like, "I don't know. It sounded like someone's trying to kick our door in." And so like we're quiet. We're not moving. We turn the TV off real fast. We're waiting to hear if there's another, kick, a jiggle of the doorknob, something. Nothing. Silence. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to look outside. Beef's like, "Don't do it." And I'm like, "Well, I'm going to do it." So I look out our people.
I could just I could hear his tone and his voice in the "don't do it."
Yeah. Like he was like, "Don't do it." I'm like, "Well, I'm nosy. I got to figure it out. I got to know what happened here." Maybe it was just some jackass, running down the hall, slamming on doors. Like, I don't know. I look out at people, can't say anything. I'm like, there's nobody out there. So I open up, like I turn the deadbolt and I open up the door, and there's a dude on the floor right across our doorway. So the thud, I think, was him passing out and hitting our door as he went down. And Beef was like, "Oh my God, there's a guy." I'm like, "Yeah,
there's a guy."
So like I'm poking him with my foot. Like I'm giving him one of those like little like wake up kicks. I'm like, hey buddy. Like, "Hey, you all right?" Hey, nothing. Like this dude was not moving. So we went and we got our resident advisor, and we were like, "Hey, just so you know, there's a dude passed out in front of our door. We don't know him. We've never seen him before. Your problem. This isn't our problem. This is your problem. You're the resident advisor of the floor. You deal with this. So he called for EMTs, and they came and they checked him, and he was breathing, but this dude was not waking up. So they put him on a stretcher. They stretchered him out. We closed our door, and Beef looks at me and just goes, "What the hell was that?" I don't know. I don't know what happened.
You guys live. Okay, two things. Number one, your guys' college experience sounded like just one cavalcade of cartoon nonsense after another.
We had some hijinks, and most of the time, we were happenstance bystanders of it. I don't think once in any of the shenanigans that we got in did we ever instigate anything. Most of the time, we weren't even really directly involved. We were just happenstance, happened to be there or stumble across the body. And, we called the emergency meeting to call out the body.
No.
That's pretty much what we did.
All right, who did it? Where?
Yeah. We would go for drives sometime, when him and I got real bored, Tara wasn't around. And it would be stupid at night, probably 11 o'clock at night, midnight. Hey, do you want to go for a drive into New Bethlehem? And New Bethlehem to Clarion's probably 20 minutes, half an hour, depending on how fast you drive.
Yeah, about that.
So this one night, we drive into New Bethlehem, just, having a breather in the car, BSing, talking about who the hell knows what. And we passed this little, it's this little, turnoff in this wooded area. It's, a little patch on the side of the road where you can turn off. It's woods for probably about a mile.
Okay.
And a half a mile in is this little pull-off. And we drive by this pull-off, and we see this car there. And I could have swore, as we drove by, that I saw the driver's side door open and a pair of legs hanging out.
Oh, the legs.
Yeah. And I went, "Was that legs?" And Beef goes, "I don't know. I didn't see anything. What are you talking about?" So we turn around in this church parking lot, drive back up real slow, and I think I made a U-ey in the middle of the road, so I could turn and shine my headlights on it, because I was not pulling into this pull-off to investigate. I'm staying in the car. And as we turn and shine the lights, sure enough, no lights on in this car, so the car wasn't running. It hadn't just pulled over because there were no interior lights, nothing. Pitch black car, pair of legs hanging out the driver's side door. And Beef goes, "That's fucking legs, dude. That's fucking legs." And we're like, "Holy shit, what do we do?"
That's legs.
And I don't know why we didn't call anybody. Maybe we didn't have service. We didn't have our cell phones with us or something. So we continue on into New Bethlehem. And we were going to stop by a gas station and be like, "Hey, can you call the cops and have them meet us here or something?" We saw some shit. And I think by happenstance, there happened to be, was there a cop already at that gas station, Beef?
Yeah, or parked the distributor right beside it.
So there was just a cop parked there. So we walk over to this cop and we're like, "Hey, probably about halfway between here and Clarion, there's a little pull off in the woods, and there's a car with some legs hanging out of the driver's side door. We don't know what's happening. We saw it as we drove by. We thought you should know." He's like, "All right, I'll go check it out." So he takes off. We go in to buy some refreshments, and we're on our way back to Clarion. And as we pass that area, the cop is there, an ambulance is there, and they're all surrounding this driver's side door. And we don't know what happened after that. We don't know if this dude was dead, drunk, OD'd. We have no idea.
Yep.
We just kept going.
Yep.
And the results of that are just left up to eternity.
Yeah.
Yep.
To this day, I have no idea who it was, what had happened. I didn't look it up in the newspaper or look online to see if I could find a story. Nope, no idea. It's somebody with more experience than this college kid was going to handle it. And that's where my involvement ended.
Okay, well, this Beef, since you just joined us, this stems from the statement I made where I said that you and Ransom's college experience was like a constant cavalcade of cartoon craziness. And the other part of that statement was going to be if I did end up, because there was a time where I was gonna transfer to Clarion. I remember. And I had if it wasn't for the fact they got rid of the guitar program, I would have. Mm-hmm. But they got rid of the guitar program the year after, the year that I was going to transfer for my junior and senior year. Had I transferred to Clarion, oh my God, it would have been. I feel like all three of us would still be in college to this day.
I would not have graduated in 4 years.
Oh my God.
I barely graduated in 4 years with just Beef there. And if Tara hadn't been there to constantly be the mother to the two of us, being like, did you guys go to class today? Are you going to go to class tomorrow? I probably would not have graduated in 4 years. It would have taken at least 5, maybe 6.
It's true.
Because there was no, left to our own devices. Beef and I, no, there would have been no way.
You guys would have swallowed your tongues. Hey, get ready for the P3 podcast.
You're listening to the Pittsburgh Pile Driver. What the hell is that? Podcast.
Hello, everybody. It's the P3 podcast, and we are here to talk shop, and that shop is wrestling. We've got the three amigos joining you tonight. Poot the Bard, Alec Ransom, and our reigning, defending High Chief of the Golden Corral, Beef the Legend. We are here to spout off about wrestling, internet morons. We're going to do some Halloween Havoc picks. It's going to be a good episode, as Poot always says. This is going to be a good one. So let's go ahead and dive right into this. Sponsors be damned. We'll see you guys at the end of the show. So if you're interested in our sponsors, stick around to the end or fast forward through this bullshit. I will say one thing first, though. If you haven't checked out our last episode of Breaking Kayfabe, where the 4 P3 guys jump on and play some Among Us with some friends, some fellow streamers that stream with Tiger Bomb Tom, and of course the Mid-Card Maniac. If you haven't watched that episode, please go and watch it. I don't go back and listen to our episodes because I don't want to hear us talk, but I'll tell you this. I went back and I did watch that episode, and if we do more of those Among Us Breaking Kayfabes, I will watch every single one, because if nothing else, the entertainment factor that I got from listening to Poot just talk to himself
just
as he's running around doing tasks was hilarious.
Oh, it would have been a lot funnier if I didn't have a lot of other kind of chaos stuff happening that night IRL.
If it's going to get funnier, you have to watch those episodes. I was so entertained watching me on his screen and listening to him comment about, get away. Oh, there's Ransom. Get away from me, Ransom. Get away from me, Ransom. Oh, there's Beef looking fucking sus. What the fuck are you doing over there, Beef? It was so funny. Please go and listen to that episode. We are definitely going to do more of those. If you are interested in jumping on and playing some Among Us, killing some of your P3 podcast hosts, sussing out some bad guys with us, shoot us an email. Beef will give that out at the end of the episode. Let us know that you're interested and give us some sort of way to contact you, whether it's by email, Facebook Messenger, something, so that we can let you know, hey, we got another one of these coming up. This is going to be the date and the time if you want to jump in and play with us. It was so much fun. I would much rather do that than any other episode of Breaking Kayfabe. It was such a blast.
It was fun. That's why I made sure to put number 1 on there. I said
Yes.
Breaking Kayfabe Among Us number 1 because I'm like, yeah, we're going to do more of these.
We are going to do more.
Yes.
Please go back and watch. I was the killer at one point, and I killed the entire P3 cast. First
You
took out
motherfucker.
Poot, then I took out Beef, then I took out Tiger Bomb Tom, and I wound up sussing my way through that entire match and won the whole damn thing. I killed everybody I could kill.
I even said as a ghost, I was like, look who's dead.
Yep.
Like,
I remember commenting in the chat saying, motherfucker, he got all of us.
Yep.
You
And
son of a bitch.
Someone in the chat at one point, it was one of you three, was like, he fucking killed all of us. Stupid drunk Ransom is going to win this round. And sure enough, I did. I freaking pulled it out. And now I know when I'm the killer next time, I got to do some more talking. Because Poot pointed out that when I was the killer and I was killing people, during the meetings, I was real quiet. So I got to watch myself on that. I know my own tell, and I got to do something about it. But enough about that. Go watch that episode. It was amazing. We have a lot to talk about tonight. That has to do with wrestling. And I want to hear, for a little bit of refreshment, I want to hear someone other than me berate some morons. And I have a feeling that one of us has some interest in berating some morons. Is that true?
Oh, I am coiled, ready to go. I'm fucking shocked up.
I want to hear it.
Well, don't we have some picks first? Do we have picks?
He can spew his venom when he pleases. He's the champ.
Let's do picks. Let's. The High Chief of the Golden Corral decrees that we'll do picks first. You're the best advocate ever. I love it. All right, so let's refresh our viewer. Maybe
poor maniac.
Where we stand in the standings currently. Ransom and I are tied at a handsome 6-1-1. Poot and Tom, I know you are. Poot and Tom, giggity, are tied also at a much less respectable 3-4-1. This is it, boys.
This is it for the month.
This is it. We got Halloween Havoc and Hell in a Cell. Hell in a Cell first, and then Halloween Havoc, although we're going to pick them in reverse order. So, smoke them if you got them. So, we'll do Halloween Havoc first, 4 confirmed matches, 2 of which are Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal, my favorite gimmick from WCW. War Games be damned. I love Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal, man. So, when they brought back Halloween Havoc, I was like, I love it. I love Halloween Havoc. When they brought back Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal, I'm like, fuck yes. I'm good. I don't care if, you could put fucking dog shit on, and Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal makes it for me. So, Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal, if you're not familiar, is just a random fucking, there's 10 random fucking match dips on there. The wheel goes around and around, and no one knows where it ends up. This looks like it's going to be a digital wheel, so,
so they have these predetermined already.
Oh my God, yeah. And I mean, there never really was. It's just like Cyber Sunday, man. It's like it's like John Hammond. The control was the illusion. There's never been any randomness in it. So, but it's still fun. It's still fun because it's a spin the wheel, make the deal. It's a gimmick. So
it's still good. Anyway, it's still good. It's just a little random. It's still good. It's still good.
It's good. So the first of which will be Damian Priest versus Johnny Gargano in the feud that never ends. I'll pick first here. I really, really think heel Johnny Gargano is doing some work, but at the same time, Gargano feels like a real big enhancement talent anymore. So I got to go Priest, man. He's on a roll, and I don't think they're ready to stop that yet. So I'm sticking with Priest to hang on. Pootski?
Oh, absolutely, Damian Priest. There is no listen. Punishment Martinez is all the money. I was super skeptical when he first came in, but man, he is so good.
It's funny because they haven't changed the gimmick on him at all than when he started, but yet I feel like it's much more intuitive now. Maybe it just took a while to wear into me. I don't know.
I think it's because he's more comfortable in his own skin.
That maybe. Ransom, who you got?
I'm gonna also pick Damian Priest. I know all 3 of us picked this, but I don't see a reason to take it off of him and put it on to Johnny Gargano. That doesn't make booking sense to me. And since this is NXT, I would like to believe that there is some sense in what they do. Not like WWE, which is spaghetti at the wall. So I'm picking Priest.
Yeah, man. The Archer of Infamy. I'm starting to come around on that nickname, too. At first, I thought it was overdone and stupid, but I'm really starting to dig it. So the other Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal matches, the other feud that will never end with Io Shirai and Candice LeRae. Man, I don't. Well, you know what? I'm not Go ahead, Poot. What do you got?
What? Io Shirai and Candice LeRae?
Yes, sir. Spin the wheel, make the deal. Women's title.
Man, I feel like I don't know what the wheel spin is gonna be. I really want to say Candice LeRae, but this is a tough call. This is tough. I feel like the person that's going to take that belt off her is Rhea Ripley. I do. I feel... This is tough. Can I pass? Good God.
Wish Rhea Ripley would take that belt off of me. How you doing?
I take it your wife's not in the room.
No, she's not. She'd probably say the same thing, though, because you know, she likes to fuck with me like that.
Yo, Rhea Ripley is choice. You know what?
I've heard that word in fucking 10 years, choice.
There you go. Man, you know what I'm gonna say? I'm gonna go with, due to fuckery, I'm gonna say Candice LeRae. I'm gonna go on a limb.
And a limb you shall have. Ransom.
I don't think Io Shirai loses the belt, but I don't think she gets the victory either. I'm on the same wavelength as Poot. I feel like Candice LeRae needs a win in this feud, but I don't necessarily think that a feud between Rhea Ripley and Candice LeRae is the best decision. So I still think that Io Shirai and Rhea Ripley are going to feud for that title, and that's where I think Io Shirai loses the title. But I'm going to call a victory for Candice LeRae because I think something, whether it's a DQ or... I think I'm talking myself out of it.
I was going to say, I will say this. Knowing that it's spin the wheel, make the deal, we're guaranteed a gimmick. And very few of those gimmicks are going to be like... It's basically going to be a win or lose. I think, and I could be 100% wrong, but I think whoever wins the match is probably going to win the belt.
Yeah. I think I'm going to talk myself out of it. I think I'm going to go with Io Shirai. Yep.
I also am going with the Genius of the Sky. This match didn't do a ton for me on TakeOver, and it was the one match that really kind of left me wanting. Io Shirai is great at bringing me in, but Candice LeRae is just like, I don't know, an attention killer. And it's nothing against her. She's perfectly serviceable. She's just very blah. So, and
no Britt Baker.
That's it. And it feels like the heel thing with Candice is a stretch, because you know that she's a bubbly person. You know that she's a nice person. You know, she takes all these wonderful pictures with Candice, with Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai and all that. So, like, that's a real big stretch. So, maybe it's the character, I don't know. But I also am going Io Shirai as the victor here. All right. And speaking of the next NXT Women's Champion, the Nightmare, Rhea Ripley, will be facing off against Raquel Gonzalez in the Battle of the Beast Women.
Battle of the Beast Women.
They've spent a lot of time building up Raquel Gonzalez to be like this all powerful, because she's tall. Like, okay, what else you got? Ransom, why don't you give us the opening foray on this pick?
I'm going to say Rhea Ripley because this harkens back to the previous. I feel like she's going to be the one that takes that title. And I don't see the logic in her losing here and then moving on to have a title match. So I'm going to call Rhea Ripley.
I'm also calling Rhea Ripley. I don't think that Triple H was ever on board with having Rhea lose that women's title to Charlotte at WrestleMania. I think that was a Vince decision.
Yep.
And I don't think Triple H ever wanted any part of it. So he took the good from it, which is giving Io Shirai a nice little run as champion and taking the opportunity to build up Rhea Ripley back as the Nightmare. So I think that this is going to be the next logical step where she takes out another, a bigger opponent than her So yeah, I'll take Rhea on this all day, all night. Poot.
Oh, where's my? There it is. Okay. I absolutely am gonna go Rhea Ripley. I don't see the point in having Rhea Ripley not win. Like, I know that sounds like a very weak, stupid argument, but it's true. Like, Rhea Ripley needs to win. They need to pull the trigger on her yesterday. Like, they need to.
The only way that I see her... Sorry, Poot, go ahead.
No, that was it.
The only way that I see her not winning is obviously with Dakota Kai fuckery, which would set up a convenient feud for her. I think that they're probably going to try and slot Ember Moon in with the title for a bit after Candice, but I mean, I like Raquel Gonzalez and all. She's a believable big lady, but she's no fucking Rhea Ripley. And I don't know. Like the praise that Triple H heaps on her, he talks about her being the future of the women's division. So like, there's no way in hell that I think that Rhea loses to Raquel Gonzalez. So. Finally, we have and I want to get the match call right. I believe it's a haunted House of Horrors match. I'm sorry, Haunted House of Terror match. Cameron Grimes versus Dexter Lumis. I mean, this is just gonna be just plain fun, where we see the shit-eating heel like come face to face with all his fucking fears. And, he's going to be fucking jump scaring all the time. And fucking Lumis is going to be being creepy. At the end of the day, I really believe that Lumis was probably the guy that they wanted to take the North American title until he got hurt. So I think that Lumis wins here against Cameron Grimes. And he continues his ascent upward. But, I think this is going to be fun. Poot, what do you got?
What? Am I starting this one?
No, you've already picked.
What, you picked Lumis?
I gave you Lumis. Yep.
Man, it makes sense for Lumis to win because they're going to start pushing him. And Cameron Grimes, he has that X factor that like a Finn Balor or someone who is really likable. He can eat all the pins in the universe and he'll never look weak. He'll never look weak. Like, just because of his in-ring ability, his bravado, like the way he sells that character, man, I just love Cameron Grimes is going to the moon. Like, I just love it. I love everything about Cameron Grimes, and it makes me sad to say that it's going to be Dexter Lumis. Because I love Dexter Lumis, don't get me wrong, but I really want to see them push the shit out of Cameron Grimes. I love him, and he's a delight and a treasure. So, but in this case, I'm going to go with Dexter Lumis.
A real quick aside, how good was Cameron Grimes' interview last night when he found out that it was going to be a Haunted House of Terror match, and fucking Lumis was like standing in the window, like the minute that the nameless announce lady told Grimes that his match was going to be a Haunted House of Terror match, his like all the color left from his what color he had left from his face, and he was like, it's a what now?
It's a
like
what
he
now?
lost everything, and he's like, because Cameron Grimes is going to the moon as he walks away. It was perfect, man. He's so fucking good. Ransom, Grimes versus Lumis, who you got?
Is this a cinematic match?
Sounds like it.
Okay, that doesn't affect my pick. I was just curious. You boys have said it all. There's nothing more that I could add. Dexter Lumis.
All right, so that's Halloween Havoc. Moving on to Hell in a Cell. We got 4 matches announced for that. I'm sure that they'll probably have like 7 or 8 by the time we hit Sunday. But
draw this out for a minute. I got to take a little whizzy-winkle.
Yeah, man. The last couple pay-per-vizzles have been decent. As much as I'm a fan of like having longer shows, the like 2.5, 3 hour show format is really kind of clicking. So I'm fine with it. Hell in a Cell I think is going to be a little bit different because obviously your Hell in a Cell matches are going to be a little bit longer. So we're picking the 3 Hell in a Cell matches that we know about and then the non-Hell in a Cell match that's happening at Hell in a Cell.
Hell in a Cell.
Yes.
No, I was just saying Hell in a Cell.
Hell in a Cell. We will lead off with Jeff Hardy. I almost said Matt Hardy. Jeff Hardy versus Elias in a who fucking cares match. Poot, lead us off.
Elias just came back. I understand this is the Jeff Hardy thing, but they're really pushing hard on the I didn't hit you with a car, man thing. I really think it's going to be Elias because he just came back from injury. He's on a new show. He has that new album debuting. Like, I really, really think that he should get one up on over on Jeff Hardy. I do.
You're picking Elias then?
Yes.
What a surprise! The Bard picks the Bard.
Can't help
Ransom,
it, man.
Are you back from the great peonies? Peonies?
I am. Peonies. There's no title involved here, is there?
There is not.
Okay. I want to say Elias. I really do. But every time I think he's going to get a win, they pull the rug out from underneath of him. And he has jobber, stupid bull crap. So that makes me want to pick Jeff Hardy because, Jeff Hardy's the spot monkey of the Hell in the Cell or of anything that he's involved in.
Yeah, but keep in mind that this is not a Hell in a Cell match. This is...
Oh, this is just a regular?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Singles contest.
I feel like I'm going against my better judgment here, but I'm going to pick Elias because I want him to win.
No, that's fair. I am picking Jeff Hardy because I don't know, man. I feel like Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton know about a body that Vince McMahon killed and buried 15 years ago, and they just have unlimited get out of jail free cards. No matter how many times Randy Orton gets suspended, no matter how often Jeff Hardy gets arrested for fucking drunk driving, it's always the same. And here's a bigger picture issue. That's not how you help people. They're just enabling the same, a cycle of self-abuse with this, man. Mm-hmm. Something needs to happen with Hardy to make it stick, because obviously everything that's happened so far has not. So I don't know, but for whatever reason, fucking Hardy gets pushed to the moon all the fucking time. I don't think it's gonna be any different here. I think he'll get a win over Elias because Elias is a guy who can eat pins, much like Cameron Grimes. Elias seems to always be in a heavy, high-angle feud, but always seems to get the bad end of it and on to the next big high-angle feud. So, it is what it is. I'm picking Hardy because, reasons. The women's title, the SmackDown women's title, is on the line in a story 5 years in the making. We have the incumbent SmackDown title holder, Bayley, versus Sasha Banks in Hell in a Cell. Ransom, who you got?
It hurts me to do it, but I'm going to pick Sasha because we have talked about this ad nauseum about the feud culminating between these two. And I think the title's going to change hands. This is, I think, where Bayley loses the title. I think it goes to Sasha, which is, I feel, a travesty. But I think that's what's going to happen, so I'm picking Sasha.
Yeah, I mean, Sasha has to win because that's what faces do. But every time it seems like they're going to pull the trigger on Sasha, they always go the other way. And Sasha gets screwed over on pay-per-views time and time and time and time again.
That's true.
So, like I remember feeling so confident that she was going to beat Charlotte Flair in Hell in a Cell, and then it didn't, and then it went over like a wet fart, and I was like, oh, that's that, huh? So like I'm very timid to pick Sasha, but I will because it's the right thing to do. It's how you keep the feud going, and I'm sure that they'll find a way to bring some more heat to it. But that's So I'm picking Sasha Banks, winner and new champion. Poot.
Oh, I'm absolutely going with Sasha. I feel like it's time to put a rocket on Sasha's back and take her to the moon, and then build the feud. Build the feud heading in towards WrestleMania. Like build it back up. Like have Sasha Bailey 2. You know what I mean?
I think the best thing that they could do right now is put the belt on Sasha, have her be an absolute dominant champion for the next 6 months or so, only to have Rhea Ripley come up and just destroy her in her debut, and just take that title from her. That makes the most sense to me. I think Rhea's a better natural heel, and I think that her and Sasha could have some great matches. So, but that's again fantasy booking. A year from now. The first of the world title matches with the WWE title. Yes, the WWE title. Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton. Again, this is in a Hell in a Cell. It's me turn. I'm picking McIntyre. If he didn't lose to Orton in the ambulance match, he's not going to lose to Orton. Clearly, the draft was a way to get him some more rogues gallery for him to beat. So build him up for WrestleMania so he can fight Goldberg. So McIntyre wins. Poot.
I thought actually the exact same thing. At first, whenever I heard that they were going to keep this going and Orton was going to be in Hell in a Cell and everything, I was like, man, there's a real chance Orton's going to win this, like a real chance. And then with the draft happening and all that, I was like, and then the rumors of old Berg coming back to break his hip and dump someone on their head. I was like, yeah, they're gonna keep that on McIntyre. So I'm going with McIntyre.
Ransom.
Here's where I feel like I lose the title, or lose the chance of capturing the title. I don't think they're going to put Goldberg in a title match at Mania. I think they saw how that worked before with The Fiend and how terrible Goldberg was. Yeah, Goldberg's going to draw money, but he's bad. And that's obvious. I don't know how anybody in that company could deny that he's bad. And I think putting the belt on someone so sloppy is a bad decision. But I'm not Vince McMahon. I feel like Orton is going to win here, and he's going to have that title. And come Survivor Series or Royal Rumble, we'll see the return of Edge, and we'll see Orton and Edge feud for that title. Because even though they're both older guys, they're both veterans, I feel like a title match between those two is going to be what people are going to clamor to see. Especially after the, so-so performances that Edge and Orton have had in their last two matches. I feel like the big one is going to be for a title. So I'm going to go Orton.
Interesting. All right. Finally, we have the High Chief Roman Reigns versus
High Chief Peter Roman Reigns.
Jay Uso. I feel so terrible that I don't know. I think it's Jay.
You're the worst.
Rematch, or is it the new one?
A rematch.
It's Jay.
The new one, yeah. He says.
Sad news I read today that Jimmy is going to be out at least until January 2021.
Oh shit! What'd he do? What?
Just from the injury that he's had. Apparently it was a long rehab injury. So
nagging injuries.
I want to say it was a leg injury. I'm not 100% like a knee injury. Those can take a fucking time, especially whenever you're Jimmy Uso and you're doing what they do. They're a great tag team, and they're great wrestlers, and I have very little reservation about Jay being in this match, except for he was absolutely clobbered by Roman Reigns at SummerSlam, Night of Champions. I don't remember which one. That's Night of Champions.
Night of Champions.
There was not even a fucking chance. So I don't see this going any other way. But well, it's Ransom's pick. Go ahead, Ransom. I don't want to steal your thunder.
You're right, though. They're not taking this belt off of Roman Reigns. And again, no slight to Jey Uso. But they're not going to take this belt off of Roman Reigns for a lot of people. And I definitely don't think they're going to take it off of Roman Reigns for Jey Uso. So it's definitely Roman Reigns.
By the way, this is an I Quit match. Very, very interesting. It's a Hell in a Cell I Quit match. So apparently they're inside the confines of Hell in a Cell, but they have to say I quit. Yeah, so that's interesting. But yeah, I mean, it's there's zero chance they take the belt off of Roman at this point. That would absolutely, completely decapitate his character and ruin him for the ever. So yeah, I'm also picking Reigns. Pootski, what you got?
Oh, Reigns. Good Lord.
So recapping, we are pretty much all the same with the exception of the NXT Women's title. Poot is picking Candice LeRae, whereas Ransom and I have Io Shirai. And in Hardy Elias, I'm picking Hardy. You two have Elias. And then in the WWE title match, Ransom has picked Orton. The rest of us, being you and I, have picked McIntyre. Tom has yet to weigh in, of course, but we'll get his picks. Not that they're going to matter. No. Only because he's so far down. Sorry, Tom. Which I guess would apply for you too, Poot. So, this is your last call. Any changes?
I'm good.
Doesn't matter. I'm going to lose anyway.
I could be a real fucking prick and change my vote to Elias and Orton just to but I'm not going to do that because I believe in being a fighting champion, damn it. So I also am going to hold tight. So
I mean, you could be a fighting champion, but also a heel champion.
Nah.
This is a wrestling podcast, after all.
Not gonna dick you over like that, man. I want it fair and square. Yeah. Then those are our picks. Now.
Wait. Is it time for Salt Bay?
It is.
Salt Bay.
Is it time to sprinkle salt beef? Is it time to sprinkle some salted beef on our meal?
Salted beef.
I think so.
Salted beef.
Coming at you saltier than a fucking dry-aged Wagyu. It's time.
Let's do it.
It's Wagyu, you heathen. Anyway,
look,
go on.
I didn't watch AEW, so I need you to, before you start your diatribe of hatred towards these mooks on the internet, I need you to set the story for me.
Paint him a word picture.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, pull out your inner bard.
So, AEW put on the show of the year last night, and I don't throw that around for the weeklies often. Often I feel like the weeklies leave a little bit to be desired. They're okay. They range from okay, so to pretty good. But last night's was very, very, very good. You had Pentagon and Phoenix going all out, which was amazing. You had a very solid match between Hangman Page and Colt Cabana.
You had one of the most entertaining 5 seconds ever of Omega versus the Concrete Rose.
Yeah, but more importantly, the return of the cleaner, the attitude, the fucking deadpan look on his face when he pins a Sunny Kiss, just all of it, man. I am here for heel Kenny Omega.
Is he a full-blown heel now?
He's getting there, man. He's AEW's big on slow burns.
Yo,
and I appreciate that about them.
He set the stage. First of all, it was the look after he won. I want someone to make a meme of that really bad. Second of all,
I've already seen it. I think didn't you share it to the group?
I don't know. Did I?
No, Wither shared it to me. No, Wither shared it. I'll share it out to you. Go ahead, Pooh.
So, but it was also how he handled after he won. he was like treating Sonny Kiss like a rock star. Like, no, don't cheer for me. Cheer for Sonny Kiss. Like, really going over the top. And you're like, what a dick. It's great.
Yeah, for sure. And no, he just sent me the picture. So I have seen a meme on it. Anyway, so really great show, and then the Fatal 4-Way Tag match was amazing as well. So a lot of great things really happened last night on both shows. To me,
there it was.
The highlight was the Debonair dinner, or the Dinner Debonair. So when they announced this last week, I'm like, this sounds fucking dumb. Like, I'm all for angles in wrestling. You guys know me. I also like wrestling and wrestling. Mm-hmm. So like when they talked about doing this, I'm like, a fucking steak dinner, really? And it started off pretty kind of shaky. I was like, okay, they're just gonna do the thing where MJF kind of one-ups Jericho about the steak, and they're both ordering fucking bleeding raw steaks. Har har har. MJF's drinking wine, Jericho's got the bubbly. I was like, okay, you know what? Okay, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. And then they break into fucking full-on Broadway musical, a full-on number, duet, wonderfully acted, wonderfully performed, good choreography, just very, very entertaining. And I know that's hard to believe with guys like Chris Jericho and MJF, that something that they did together was entertaining. But stick with me. So, yeah, I loved it. I immediately was laughing. I had a smile on my face the whole time. Could not crowbar it away. And the initial responses I saw on the interwebs were good. People enjoyed it. People were like, oh, that was great. Oh, it was fun. A very, very like Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. kind of throwback. Very classic Hollywood. So yeah, I was like, okay, great, awesome. Everybody really enjoyed it. And then the fucking marks came, and the trolls came, and the fucking, well, if WWE did that, you guys would be having a shit fit. No. First of all.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't enjoy that, then you don't enjoy pro wrestling. Get the fuck out. I am the judge, I am the jury, and I am the fucking executioner. Get the fuck out of my sport. Go watch UFC.
Oh.
Hell, go watch New Japan Pro Wrestling. And I love New Japan, but if you're not in for the goofy concepts, New Japan's the place for you. Wall-to-wall wrestling, no stupid bullshit. Have at it. But if you're going to sit here and tell me that you're a fan of professional wrestling, and then you're going to cry so much fucking salt that it's going to rival the Dead Sea about a really entertaining and one-of-a-kind skit, then I don't fucking believe you. I think that you're a fucking fun-sucking nobody who just likes to piss in people's Wheaties. You're the guy who shows up on NFL boards, not a particular team. You're just there to fucking troll people. You're the person who could give a fuck less whether it's Biden or Trump. You're just there to start the fires. Or if they're already started, to toke them?
To toke the flame, man.
Well, sometimes you toke up.
Yeah, toke, take, stoke, stake, all of it. So,
stake the flames. BRB.
You people, and I will use that word because I get used on me all the fucking time. You people make this sport worse. Because, second of all, AEW went out on a limb and did something completely outside of the normal routine. We've seen skits in wrestling before. We know they've ranged the gamut from wonderful to what the fuck is Mae Young giving birth to a hand, to the fucking hand coming back 15 years later. They run the gamut. So, but this, a full-on fucking dance number, Broadway song and dance, never before seen. So, first of all, it was a very ballsy attempt at them to come out and do something different, and I loved it. But at the end of the day, if you're one of those people who are saying, well, that was garbage, that was horseshit, what's that doing on wrestling? Oh, when that happened, I turned my TV off. I bet you you're the same moronic, mouth-breathing, milk-sucking, gutter-fucking people that sit there and was like, oh, I love Steve Austin. Oh, it was hilarious when he beat Vince McMahon with that bedpan. Or, I love Mick Foley. Can you believe he uses Mr. Sacco? Like, there were so many... Wrestling is littered with these, like, little over-the-top things that happen that people accept. They may not like them, or they may absolutely revere them, i.e., this is your life, Rock. Where the segment was supposed to be like 5 minutes, and Mick Foley and The Rock took it for like 25. And reports had it that like Vince Russo was in the back saying, no, we're going to let this go, because he saw it happening. If you're okay with fucking Yerple the Clown, you have no business poo-pooing what happened last night. And I'm not trying to compare MJF and Jericho to The Rock and Mick Foley. It's, apples and oranges, man. But greatness is greatness.
Okay.
And when you have those two together, you cannot deny that it's fucking greatness. So if you're sitting there and you're telling me, hold on, Poot, if you're sitting there and you're telling me you didn't enjoy it, get the fuck out. Pound salt. Go watch a different sport. Go watch football, baseball, fucking UFC. I don't give a fuck. But if you're not here to be entertained, get the fuck out.
Why were they poo-pooing it? I didn't go through that rabbit hole and read. I mean, I saw your blow-ups, but I didn't see what their arguments were as far as why they thought it was stupid.
Okay. Allow me to pose a different point. Until I watched it, I was literally like, oh, did they really do this? I'm like, these are two guys. Well, Jericho can get away with murder. He just can. Like, he can literally get away with anything he wants, and it will be glorious because it's Chris Jericho. MJF, though, I'm like, he's still young. He's still new. They've been booking him as a shit-eating heel, but they've also been booking him, especially with, like, the Moxley match, like, as a real fighter, salt of the earth kind. I mean, that's kind of the shtick. It's the salt of the earth kind of thing. Like, he put on a good show with Moxley, and he got on Moxley's level. Like, it was like, wow, this guy has some grit in him. And AEW, I think the thing that people are hearkening back to is AEW, the impetus of it was built on, we're focused on the wrestling. This is what we're focused on. We want to focus on in-ring action versus goofy bullshit and ridiculous storylines, etc., etc., etc. Now, before you jump down my throat here, Beef, what I'm saying is I understand where they're coming from, because when I saw they did this, I was like, AEW, come on, like, not that you can't do this stuff, but like, try and be. But I watched it, and I'm not going to lie. I sat there with a big dumb grin on my face going, this is so stupid. This is so ridiculous. And I love it because I love absurd things. I love the absurdity. And it was certainly that. It was fun. It was funny. The delivery and like how MJF and Jericho play off each other, I think number one speaks highly of Jericho that he's willing to do this stuff, and highly of MJF that he can get on that level and be in a segment or a promo on the level already with how young he is with guys like Jericho. Now, the thing is, I understand, like, I enjoyed it because it was ridiculous. But a lot of people are basically not that there are WWE apologists out there who scream and yell and holler and will say, if WWE did this, you'd shit all over it. Yeah, sure, they're out there. But, you know, and maybe they're not wrong, because it takes certain performers to do that, and I don't know a lot of performers short of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn who could pull off something like that and make it enjoyable and make it work in the WWE bubble. But I like the thing of AEW has their impetus has been, we have some of the best wrestlers in the world. This is what we're doing. Watch our in-ring product. And slowly these things have started trickling in. Now, number one, it's a natural progression. I'm not saying I agree with them, but I get where they're coming from. It's worth a watch to see what you think. Ransom, I think you'll get a kick out of it because it's basically real-life Stewie and Brian. It is, absolutely. And it was fun. And the other thing is, too, that was a small percentage of that show. As Beef said, the in-ring action without any titles on the line felt huge. Penta versus Phoenix is always a good time. Seeing the cleaner come back and having it be that bravado. You know who looked really, really good last night was Colt Cabana.
Yep.
Colt Cabana looked like $1 million, and he's starting to get up there.
Dark Order. The whole Dark Order, really. Silver and Reynolds looked really good in the tag team match until Reynolds got knocked the fuck out.
And Evil Uno is looking good. He's looking svelte. Like he's losing a shit ton of weight. But that's my point. It's like, you can't argue with these people because they're going to do that all the time. Like I immediately saw Beef arguing with some people on there, and I was like, Beef, you're not helping. Like, I get it. I'm not telling you not to. Like, you need people who are going to argue for this stuff that it's valid. However, all you're doing is spurring these people on because they love to just shit talk and they love to just make fires as big as they can. Sure, it divided fans, but it was fun, and it got eyes on AEW, whether good or bad. You know what I mean?
I'll say this, and Rance, I do want you to chime in here, but real quick, I want to refute the one thing you said, Poot, about AEW being strictly based on wrestling. Let us not forget that the inception of All Elite Wrestling was based on All In, which had a parade of inflatable penises welcoming back Joey Ryan from the dead. That the Elite on their webcast, being the Elite, had an angle where Hangman Page killed Joey Ryan.
Like murdered him dead.
Like murdered him dead, yes. And then his fucking cowboy boots would talk to him because he was guilty. That's why Joey Ryan came back with the parade of penises. So, to say that AEW... A lot of people confuse AEW and New Japan. If you want, like, 5-star wrestling, if you want hard-hitting wrestling, if you want wrestling cover to cover, New Japan is your place to go. And I am by no means insulting the AEW roster. AEW has some of the best performers on the planet. They can put up the best matches time in, time out. And they've proven that. AEW... So, here's AEW to me. AEW is a variety show. And I've talked about this before. You love good Lucha Libre, you watch AEW. You love good tag team wrestling, you watch AEW. You love pretty good women's wrestling, watch AEW. You love absolutely insane hardcore shit, watch AEW. You love stupid, goofy stuff, watch AEW. AEW is a variety show, man. So I think everybody's assuming that just because they have the best wrestlers on the planet, that they're going to be a wrestling show. But at the end of the day, it's an entertainment business. And that hurts me to say, but that's the truth of it. So you either play ball or you get kicked out of the sport. What did you think, Ransom? I know that you may not have seen it live. You may have watched it. And I'm sure you probably hear some of the scuttlebutt. What's your take on it?
So I think maybe my take is a little bit different than the internet people that are freaking out, because I didn't go into AEW with the expectation that it was going to be a rebirth of pro wrestling. I had all the expectations that it was going to be another form of sports entertainment. Like you said, Beef, and I completely agree with you. If you want professional wrestling, you watch New Japan. And again, nothing wrong with that. But I never had any expectations that that AEW was going to be the rebirth of pro wrestling. And to be fair, before WWE began strictly calling itself sports entertainment, it was pro wrestling. And it was chocked full of gimmicks. That's what their entire show basically was gimmicks. You rarely ever, if ever, had them using someone's real name. They were a character. You know? I mean, even, like, Bret Hart wasn't a gimmick, you know? He was Bret Hart, and he was who he was. He was a wrestler. But look at all of the other gimmicks that they had. Hulk Hogan was a gimmick. Sergeant Slaughter was a gimmick. All those guys in the 80s, they were predominantly gimmicks. Even to the extent that Ric Flair, I would say, was a gimmick. Ric Flair might have been Ric Flair dialed up to 1,000,000, but he still felt like a gimmick. He felt like a believable, legit wrestling guy, but it's still like, you know, style and profile. He had the woo. So I didn't have any delusions of grandeur that AEW was going to be something completely different than sports entertainment. So to hear about this segment, I'm not outraged at all. I want to go and watch it. I think I'm going to really enjoy it. And even if I don't really enjoy it, like even if it's one of those things where I watch and I'm like, that was fun, but like I'm not going to geek out over it. I'm not going to boo. Even if I'm like, oh, all right, that was different, that was fun, I'm still not going to be upset about it, because I have no expectation that AEW is going to be anything completely opposite of WWE. I think it's going to be different than WWE, but not anything opposite of it. So for the outrage and the people losing their minds, I don't have that mindset, and I can't subscribe to that mindset of people shitting all over something like this. Like you said, WWE gave birth to a hand. Katie Vick, we all remember that. You know, the whole Billy and Chuck wedding, when Eric Bischoff dressed up as the reverend or the pastor, 3-minute warning came out and destroyed them. WWE has been chocked full of this. I don't know. I don't see the outrage. I don't think I'll ever be outraged over a gimmick segment or them doing something silly in AEW. That's nothing that they do that could trigger me into freaking out or losing my mind, be like, oh, AEW sucks, they're just WWE, just bing bong banging around. No, they're completely different than WWE, but it's still entertainment. You know, I think it's more wrestling than WWE. Like, I think that pendulum swings more into the wrestling in AEW, but there's still that element of entertainment that's not wrestling. So no, I don't buy into the hate and the rage. I have no doubt in my mind that it's going to be an entertaining segment when I watch it.
And at the end of the day, I think Poot's right. I think it's people that live for pissing and Wheaties, man. Like, they're, for whatever reason, and I saw this a lot with the XFL too. There are people out there who are absolutely rooting for AEW to fail. And it's like, okay, why? because I like WWE. All right. So go like WWE. Like, you may prefer McDonald's to Burger King, but you don't sit there and hope that Burger King goes out of business. Like, that's hurtful.
You have to be out of your mind though. Like, you have to be
Dude,
a McDonald's
wrestling
sycophant
fans
to think, to wish that.
Well,
and yeah,
wrestling
I agree
fans
with you.
are
the wrestling fans do that.
fucking
I can't
nuts.
wait till AEW goes under just so that I can be like, ha, I told you guys.
no,
they sit there and root every week. Every week, it's like, oh, look at this one minute thing that I found fault in. You guys love your AEW. Oh, you fanboys. Oh, this, oh, that. It's like, man, you people got some deep-seated issues. Wrestling fans are the absolute worst. And I understand that I'm talking to some of our fan base, and I don't mean you guys because we love you guys. But, like, for the most part, wrestling fans are ignorant. They're homophobic, terribly homophobic. They're xenophobic. And that's why fucking gimmicks like the Iron Sheik worked. Like, wrestling fans, for the most part, are absolutely sheltered creatures that live in their little caves, and whenever something gets in, they're like, nope, I don't like it, let's do the other thing. It boggles my mind. Sorry, Pooh, go ahead.
What I was gonna say is that I think it's because of the emotional attachment. You know what I mean? I do, because I know some sports fans, they love their team and they fucking hate every other team. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, yeah. I know a lot of sports fans who love their team, but they also see the merit in other players and other teams. And then I also know sports fans who are like, I just love the sport, don't really care who. You know what I mean? Like, yep. I think it's because wrestling, you get emotionally invested in characters and personalities and wrestlers and storylines, and you find comfort in them. It's the same thing as any sport or entertainment or hobby. You use it as an escapism from the doldrums of life. And when things change or something threatens your escape or your love of something, it can cause you to lash out. I should have been a therapist. It does though. Like, whenever, anytime, and it can go from something minute, like, oh, that person has new ring gear and I hate it. Or, oh, they changed the Raw entrance theme and I don't like it now. I like the older one better. And you get used to it and you're just done with it. You're like, man, I don't like change, but it's really no big deal. All the way to, here's a new company that's coming out and actually gaining traction and has some of arguably the best wrestlers in the entire world opposing the thing that you love and have loved for decades. You're gonna hate it because you don't want it threatening the thing you love, and for a lot of people, it's kind of a weird form of the people who are like hardcore WWE fanboys. They don't give a fuck about anything else. It's almost like someone coming into your house and taking, even though you don't look at it and it's in a box in your closet, attic, or basement or garage, coming in, taking your favorite children's toy and walking off with it. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. Like, it's the same mentality. Astute. It's a comfort thing.
I think, and that following along that same path, the fact that so like when you get invested in a movie or a series or even like a series of movies like the MCU, like there is a finite starting and stopping point. There is a finite beginning and end. Stories are told in the middle, but at the end of the day, there's a beginning and ending. Even with sports, there is a beginning of the season, there's an end of the season. There is a climax, and then there's a regression, and then we come back for it. With wrestling, there's not that. Wrestling is a constant thing. So I 100% believe that you are correct. There's a lot of emotional attachment because of it being an ongoing thing. People always like to call it the male soap opera, but that's exactly what it is. Like, people, especially it seemed like in the 80s, were nuts about their soaps, man. And like whenever Victor killed somebody or did something on the fucking Young and the Restless or Bold and Beautiful, whatever the fucking show Victor was on, people were upset about it. People got fucking heated. Like, so I think it's the same mentality that it's a continuing art form, really, is what it is. It's just, it's really tough for me. But I also struggle with the, what you were talking about earlier with, like, the whole sports thing. Like, Pittsburgh fans, and again, I know I'm talking to my fan base. Not you got to love you. Pittsburgh fans drive me crazy because they love the Steelers. They love the Penguins. The rest of the fucking league, they're all trash. They're all garbage. With that mentality, whenever a team beats you, you got beat by garbage. Of course you're going to be fucking pissed off. So I guess, me sitting here appreciating the entirety of the sport, not just one particular genre, I guess, from the outside looking in, I see that. But man, it's just, and I truly believe that there is a lot of, like, just people that are looking to piss in people's Wheaties. People that have been locked in their house for fucking, 8 months now and have nothing better to do than to fucking get on Reddit, get on Facebook, get on Twitter, get on fucking Quibi while it's still around, and do the thing, and piss in people's Wheaties, and just make people upset just for the fact that they need some entertainment. So, but I mean, come on. That's all I gotta say. Come on.
We've talked about it before on this podcast. Poot has mentioned it several times. I think people aren't seeing the big picture of, hey, if both of these companies do well, we as wrestling fans win. It doesn't matter who's winning the Wednesday Night War. It doesn't matter which company is selling more merch. It doesn't matter which company has, more subscribers,
yep.
or, more pay-per-view views or whatnot. None of that matters in the end. You need to look at the bigger picture and realize the more wrestling companies that are out there that do well, we as the fan base collectively win in that, because we're getting a better product. We're getting more products to watch. We're getting more wrestling to enjoy. I don't think it matters who is doing a better job, whether it's AEW, WWE, New Japan. If they all thrive, we collectively as the fan base of wrestling win, because we're getting better products. We're getting more things to watch. We're getting new wrestlers in all of these companies that are getting highlighted for us to be able to see, like, hey, this is going to be a future star. Like, this is going to be a future Hall of Famer. People aren't looking at that. People are looking at the old WCW versus WWE. Like, I want my company to win. I want my company to put that company out of business. You saw how that really worked when it happened. When WWE put WCW out of business, it's my opinion that at that point, the overall caliber and quality of wrestling dropped, because WWE was left. They had no one to rise up to beat. They had no one hot on their heels going, okay, we got to step up our game. We got to make our product better than theirs so that we get more views. You didn't have that. You had one game in town, and that ushered in the era of Triple H, constantly winning. It featured all the old WCW guys, which ultimately, I would say the bulk of it went nowhere. We lose as wrestling companies go under, or other companies buy out other companies. We lose in that instance because we lose options, we lose talent. The more programs there are, the better things are going to be for us. And I don't think that's a focal point for some of these people on the internet.
Yep. And like I said, Poot's right. Like, just kind of a wrap up here. Fans of most things can be pretty rabid. Sports fans tend to be the most rabid, I think, and the most fucking cruel and heartless, really. Wrestling fans kind of fall in, like, the perfect middle of that Venn diagram. where you get like movie fans that are absolutely ardent, like fucking Star Wars fans, for example. Oh my. And then you have like this crazy sports fans. In the middle, where you mix art and sport, surprise, surprise, pro wrestling, you have the most fucking crazy fans in all sense of the words. Like crazy, like, yeah, I fucking love everything. Let's just consume everything. To the other side where it's just, fucking maniacs. So I just, fucking take the stick out of your ass and enjoy something, for Christ's sakes.
Yep.
But NXT, moving on, assuming that there are no other comments on this topic, and we can keep talking if you want, but
nope, I'm good.
Nope.
NXT was really good last night too. For the first time, I'd say, since the Wednesday Night Wars began, I think we had two shows that were absolutely top of their game. NXT was super good last night too. The triple threat match to lead off was very, very good. Fucking Kushida getting over on Ciampa and Dream is a huge deal. I don't care who you fucking talk to. Kushida winning that match with those two in it was huge. But the end of the show is really where it really amped up. So, Ransom, you may or may not have seen, but Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch got their first ever NXT titles, NXT Tag Team titles last night after beating Breezango. Normally not noteworthy, but good for them. I like those two. The real story is that was supposed to be Undisputed Era's spot. But as the show went along, the Undisputed Era kept falling by the wayside. First, Bobby Fish went down, and then Roddy Strong went down.
Like went down with legit injuries, or story-wise went down?
Story-wise. Like somebody was picking them off. And then, in the back, Regal was with Breezango, Oney Lorcan, and Danny Burch, and Kyle O'Reilly. And Burch and Lorcan were like, oh man, Kyle, have one of us be your partner. Undisputed Era earned that, we want to be there. So if you want one of us to be your partner, we'll do it. And he's like, no, I got to go to the hospital with these two. Good luck, guys. Completely unselfish, giving his spot up. Good match, great match. And then at the end, a masked individual came out and distracted Fandango from doing the last dance. And then I think it was Burch hit a low blow on Fandango, and they did their finisher and they won. They did the hemming and hawing with the mask guy. He came out, and I'm like, I don't know who that would be. I thought, man, kind of looks, it would make a lot of sense for it to be Pat McAfee, but he's a little bit chunkier than Pat was. I don't know. And damned if it wasn't fucking Pat McAfee there in all of his fucking glory, like raising the hands of Lorcan and Burch as they beat Breezango, and Pat's even kind of like made allusions to it on Twitter that he was the guy that took out the Undisputed Era, and obviously it's going to come around that he was the guy that paid Rich Holland off to attack Adam Cole. So like this is a grand masterpiece of Pat McAfee, and I'm here for it.
What breaks my heart? Well, number one, I like Oney and Lorcan as McAfee's.
Oney and Lorcan.
As old Oney Lorcan as the stable.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. That's a good stable. Yeah. Man, Ridge Holland would have just put the icing on the cake on that.
Yep.
Man, that and that's that really, it breaks my heart because I go, this is awesome. With Ridge Holland,
he's out
it would
for
have
a while,
been
right. Ridge Holland was the one that had those leg injuries.
Yeah.
I would say I would hazard a guess minimum 10 months.
Yeah, agreed.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I feel really bad because it was this was like right on the cusp of a win, like a big, like a push, like having, being in Pat McAfee's stable and everything. And, but right now, Lorcan, Burch, and McAfee, I think will be a lot of fun to see happen because I think McAfee being the mouthpiece for that, he'll be really good once he gets a little more comfortable. You saw shades of it when he had his match with Adam Cole. Yeah, he had some kind of not super cringy, but a little where you're like, oh, you kind of lost your train of thought, didn't you, big boy? When he cut his promo beforehand. But I can see him being really good on the stick.
And if it's something that Pat McAfee wants to commit to, I think Pat can do anything. You know, he's fucking tremendous at everything he does. He's got a huge personality. He does great with his show on Barstool. So I mean obviously one of the most legendary punters in the NFL. Like he speaks for himself, man. So like you're right, having him be the mouthpiece of two guys who really didn't have a mouthpiece before, they're a great team. I think that he could put them over the top. I don't know if they'll keep them together. I hope that they do. My hope is that they're working towards a War Games. Because you're starting to see the teams form a little bit. Obviously, Ridge Holland being out poses a problem. I'm a big fan of Pat, and again, I think that he could really, if he puts his all into it, which Pat does. When Pat does something, he puts his all into it. But I want him to be like committed. I want him to be around for a bit. I think that would be a really fun gig for him. So, we'll see. But yeah, man, just the fucking I was a little bit shocked because NXT doesn't like to do title changes on free TV, much like AEW. Although NXT has done it, I think 3 times this year now. Maybe it's twice. But bottom line is, title changes are happening on TV more frequently with NXT. But still, to see a title change on the weekly is a big deal. So that's why with my picks I went the current champions, because I don't think that, especially with them just having the tag team titles change hands last night. But Ransom, what do you think? I know that you're a guy who loves his Adam Cole and his Undisputed Era. And I think you spoke pretty glowingly of their match. So what do you think about Pat being back in the fold?
I'm excited. I think anytime that Pat McAfee's going to be involved in something, it's probably going to be gold. Was that a match of the year? Adam Cole versus, is it McAfee or McAfee?
I think
it's McAfee. Beef's just bad with names.
Yeah, okay. That's true also.
So, was that a match of the year candidate? No. Was it super entertaining? 100%. Everything that Pat did in that match, the verbal spots he had in that match where he was running his mouth, being super cocky, it was amazing. And I think him as a mouthpiece is a golden idea. Even him being in the ring sporadically, I think it would be best. Because you're not going to wear out on him. You're not going to wear out on him. He's not going to wear out in the ring. I think if they pick their spots with him actually in ring contests, that would be wise. I'm really wanting to see a feud between Pat McAfee's stable and Undisputed Era, because I think that would be just entertaining as all get up. I do have 2 questions. One, you had said that AEW was, the show of the year, that Dynamite. But you said NXT was also really good. Would this NXT this week, so far this year, Beef, be the NXT show of the year to watch? The NXT weekly show of the year to watch?
Boy, that's tough, because the Fatal 4-Way hour-long Iron Man match was a really good episode. They packed as much in as they could with that one. So that was really good. And then the Great American Bash was pretty spectacular too, both weeks. Top to bottom, it would rank up there. I would say, and I honestly think that we probably are heading for a pretty good one coming up here next week at Halloween Havoc as well. Despite Finn Balor not being around and not defending the title, obviously, I think that they're having two blow-off matches, two pretty good feuds. They're having the House of Horrors match with Loomis and Grimes, which is going to be fun, just for fucking Cameron Grimes' reactions, period. And then I think Raquel and Rhea Ripley could be really special too. So I think the next week could be really, really good as well, which is good. I like seeing, because it's been about a year for both of these shows to be on. Now, obviously, NXT's been around longer, but, with the 2-hour format and on USA and all that, that's new to them. So I like seeing these guys hit their stride at the 1-year mark and say, hey, if you rode with us for the first year, just wait for a year or two. That is exciting to me.
So that does lead into my next question, and this is for both of you. Is there any chance that we see a surprise match with a returning Finn Balor at Halloween Havoc? Is it possible?
No, he's still injured. Okay. Because even if he comes out, the only way I could see it is if he comes out and he has all the offense and he's in control. That's the only way I could see it happening. But he's still injured, man. You can't fuck around with jaw breaks and stuff like that.
Agreed. I don't. Plus, I think if you're gonna have Finn Balor, I think you're gonna advertise that. I know that everybody's focus is no longer on the ratings anymore. That everybody's just kind of like, hey, let's go out there and put on the best show that we can. But realistically, again, WWE's not dumb. They're gonna say, hey, if we got our top guy, we want you to know that we're bringing our top guy. So, although I will say that an all-offense Finn Balor match would be a perfect spot for Return of the Demon, but again, I think that we're still a little bit too soon for that, realistically. So, but yeah, no, I'd love to see it, but I don't. Plus, I don't know who he'd roll over like that. There's no really top contenders right now. Maybe Kushida, I guess you can make an argument, but I mean, realistically, there's not a lot of space at the top right now. So I think that it would, and I mean they have a perfectly stacked card without him. They have two title matches that I think are going to be pretty good, unique for sure. They have a cinematic match with Grimes and Loomis, and then they have the Rhea Ripley match. So I think that they're it's a stacked card without him. And I mean, realistically, like I said, AEW last night blew the doors off of the anniversary show. And the anniversary show had every title that they have in AEW on the line. And last night had 0 titles on the line. And it was a way better show. So I don't think titles make a better show.
With that said, with Halloween, with this being, this is the first Halloween Havoc since WCW, right?
That is correct.
So, with that being said, I mean, it's a pretty big deal. Halloween Havoc was one of WCW's biggest shows. Do you think we get a surprise match, a surprise debut, a surprise return? Do you think there's anything that NXT is going to do surprise-wise, since this is, the return of a big show? Or do you think it's like, hey, you know what? The card is good. It's a stacked card. We're going to leave it as is. We don't have to add any sort of fluff. We're happy with the way it's panning out.
Beef, you go ahead and field this one first.
I don't think we will, because I think they blew their load with that last night. With the, I'll say it, shocking tag team title change. And then obviously the return of Pat McAfee. I think that that I think was your big kind of like, ooh, look at that. I think they're going to focus on what they got and really showcase specifically the 4 people in the titles matches. And again, I understand that both these are ongoing feuds, but I think that they're really going to drive home the points of making these four look really good next week. So I think that they're going to look at it and they're going to say, hey, you know what? It's a bummer that we didn't have Finn Balor here, but you know what? We're going to work with what brought us to the table, which is, the mid-card and the women's, which I think they do better than most.
Okay. What do you think?
Yes.
I'm just going to echo Beef's statements. Like, Beef is on point tonight. Like, I will give him all the credit. I'm not going to give him shit. He's on point. He said it all. Like, I mean, Beef, when you're on, buddy.
Thanks, man. Real quick, I know that we are getting close to burrito time here, but I want to give a fucking hella shout out to Eddie Kingston.
Oh my God, we don't deserve that, man.
This guy, and I know it's a fucking cliche, but I would sit there and listen to him read a phone book for 2 hours. Eddie Kingston is so much money, and I know that AEW does long-term booking. I know they don't do knee-jerk, although I think there's a little bit of knee-jerk with him right now, but that's okay. I know that they have this plan for Moxley's title end. And like I said, I really feel like it has to do with the return of Kenny Omega, the heel, the cleaner, so that eventually they can get Hangman Page over. That's going to be the goal. But man, if there was ever a time to call an audible, right now is the time, because Eddie Kingston is so much money. And right now he is showing every other program in the world, Impact, New Japan, NXT, WWE, saying, hey, you guys fucking ignored me for 15 years. Here's why you shouldn't have. He is wrestling with, and he is talking with the biggest chip on his shoulder, and it is working for me.
I don't know. Now, granted, I just don't know how someone like Eddie Kingston got passed over. I don't get it. How can, like, now obviously he made himself a serious name on the indies, but
he's a little rough around the edges.
Well.
So, like, I get it. You know, if you're a PG product like WWE, you look at Eddie Kingston, you go, that might not be the best move. But in the same breath, why then do you say, hey, let's bring in Jon Moxley? Like, I think that Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston, not to put that point too close to home, or not to put that, to belabor that point, but I think that they are very similar. They're very much peas in the pod. They're very much two of the same cat. And
yeah, but I think Moxley was willing to probably
sell out.
Oh yeah,
let's be real. To say, okay, you know what? I will remove layers from my character and make a lot of money. Eddie Kingston was not, and that's okay. I don't think real life Eddie Kingston begrudges Moxley at all. Period. Because I think that they're buddies, and you do what you got to do for millions of bucks. I get that. But I think Eddie Kingston's a guy of principle, and he's there are not enough superlatives right now. I have never in my life wanted to see, maybe one time, when we were freshmen in college. No, when Ransom was a freshman in college, I was a sophomore, and the Steelers were playing the Patriots in the Super Bowl. I wanted so badly for the Steelers to win that I was emotionally devastated when they did, or not in the Super Bowl, in the AFC title game. I was emotionally devastated when they didn't. And I remember him taking me and, give me a big old hug. He's like, hey, man, there's always next year. And I'll be right there with you, rooting for the Steelers with you. I'm like, oh, that's, super nice of him. This fucking hard-ass Ransom, kind of hug on his buddy Beef and telling him it's going to be okay.
You're really shitting on my gimmick here, man.
I'm sorry, man. That's like the only time that I can conceivably think about a time where I wanted somebody or some team to win something so badly that I want Eddie Kingston to win the AEW title. I don't care if it's for a cup of coffee. I want so badly for Eddie Kingston to be the guy to beat Jon Moxley. I think that would be a fitting end.
They could have
Moxley
that feud
reign.
run forever too.
And Moxley would put him over in a heartbeat.
Oh, absolutely.
In a heartbeat.
So is that the audible you're talking about? You want them to call an audible and not have Omega beat Moxley and then have Kingston beat Omega. You want Kingston to be the one to beat Moxley.
Right. And like I said, I think that realistically right now with Kingston, they're punching things up on the fly because they brought him up on a flyer for the TV title match with Cody. And they're like, holy fuck, this guy can go. And like he has just every single week gotten better and better and better. He had his match with Moxley. He didn't quit. He did the whole pass out thing. And then like the Archer match kind of became beside the point because after the match is when Kingston attacked Moxley again. I really think that they were probably saving Archer and Moxley for Full Gear. But whenever Kingston caught fire, they're like, hey, you know what? Let's ride the hot hand. And let's give Eddie Kingston an honest-to-God main event push here.
And the thing is, if he actually did win that belt at Full Gear, like, first of all, I love seeing people who are, like, genuine friends in a feud like this. I love seeing it. I absolutely love it. Like, because they make everything believable.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, like you said, I could see, even if it is just for a cup of coffee, I could see Moxley going to the powers that be and being like, listen, we need to put him over now. Because I could see Kingston winning that match and because you go like, Moxley's not a quitter. He doesn't quit. He doesn't say I quit. I could see Kingston doing the exact same thing to Moxley that Moxley did to him a couple weeks ago. And Kingston wins the belt. Moxley comes out, makes the same argument, and Kingston gets on that soapbox of saying, and you could just ride that out. You know what I mean? I'm excited by this. Like, I like the idea of Eddie Kingston winning that belt.
Full Gear is going to be the show of the year, I think. And I hate fucking saying that when we're still several weeks out. But I mean, when you're looking at potentially Moxley and Kingston in an I Quit match, and it's going to get fucking just shitty Raw in that match. The Bucks versus FTR in the tag team title match. Probably Kenny Omega versus Hangman Page in the finals of the number one contender tournament. Jericho and MJF probably teaming together against somebody. We'll see. Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara and their blow-off. The Elite Deletion, I think is what they're calling it. And Cody versus Darby Allin for the TV title. That's not even including Sheeta in all this, which could be Britt Baker's moment. So I think top to bottom, Full Gear is going to just beat the brains out of anything else we've seen this year. But that notwithstanding, if you haven't, go back and watch NXT this week. Go back and watch AEW this week. You know what? If you're gonna be a salty fucking whore and absolutely hate on the
went
Jericho
full Morty
MJF
there.
segment,
You went full Morty
right?
there for a second. You were like,
if you're gonna hate on that segment, fucking do you, bro. But at least watch the rest of Dynamite, because it was a stellar show top to bottom. Go out and enjoy it. Check out Halloween Havoc, and man, Hell in a Cell may even be good. Who fucking knows?
Dude, it smells like someone's cooking up a delicious entree here. What would that be?
A delicious entree. I think that would be me. You want me to wrap it up in burrito time, Ransom?
Yeah, hit that burrito.
We would like to thank our glorious, lovely sponsors, Mr. Tiger.
Me. Oh, wait, that was wrong.
Well, I'll take it. Tiger knee uppercut. Bomb Tom and his page, Casual Gaming Dad, over on Facebook, streams a lot of awesome games. On the regular, I think it's on Tuesdays, we do some Among Us, and he welcomes us into the fold, which is very nice of him. But he plays a ton of other really fun games. Go check him out again. That's Casual Gaming Dad on Facebook, okay? And you can join Casual Gaming Dad's Corner to keep up with him and other streamers and some news and stuff like that. Also, check him out on Twitch and YouTube. That's Casual Gaming Dad 84 on those platforms, okay? We also want to thank Mr. Sean Tischler and his work with IWC in Clearfield and in the central Pennsylvania area on the whole, because, again, we've said it numerous times, you could see the next huge star at your local independent show. Supporting indies is how you get future big-time products. So please, please, please make sure you do that. I mean, you're already seeing it happening. We've seen Mr. Mambo Italiano on NXT, which, by the way, just had his appendix out. He was having some stomach pain, went and had his appendix out, so he's going to have a quick recovery. So make sure you take care of yourself, Mambo. I'm sure you probably aren't listening to this, but if you do, we think you're great, and we hope you have a quick recovery and you keep onward and upward with your career trajectory. Also, you see guys like the Man Dime over on AEW Dark. See him over there. That's great to see as well. So thank you, Sean. Thank you, IWC. And we can't wait until we can go see some indie shows again. And make sure you tune in next week because we're going to be picking Full Gear. Is it next week for Full Gear or the week after?
It's
week
7th,
after?
November the 7th. So I think it would be next week.
Yeah, next week we're going to be picking... Picking for Full Gear, so that'll be really good. And also, hopefully we'll be doing some more Breaking Kayfabes, playing Among Us, talking about some other things, and having just a good time. For Mr. Alec Ransom.
Wait. Before we thank ourselves, Beef, give out that email address for the P3 podcast. So if anybody does watch that Among Us, Breaking Kayfabe, and want to get in on the action, whether you're a fan of the P3 podcast or you're a fan of Among Us, or this is the first time you're listening and you've never played Among Us before, it really is a treat. So shoot us an email, let us know that you want to play. We will get you contact information and let you know when the next time we're going to do that so that you can set that time aside and jump in with us. Beef, what's that email address?
Hey, it's really hard to figure out. Pittsburgh Pile Driver Podcast is spelled exactly as you'd think at gmail.com.
There you go.
Now, Poot, sorry I interrupted, but carry on.
No problem. Also, make sure you email us questions for Stump the Chumps as well. You can ask us wrestling questions.
Stump the Champs. We got one in the hopper for next week, boys.
All right.
I just saw one. So the Maniac. We got one in the hopper for next week. The Maniac has one sitting in there for us. So I'm excited already for next week.
Put some ice on that boner. Calm down, Beef. All right. Make sure you send in Stump the Champs here. You ask us wrestling questions. We'll see if we can answer. And if we do, we get another feather in our caps and another diamond on that wonderful, wonderful championship of ours. Like I said, if you want to join Among Us, make sure you let us know whenever we do another Breaking Kayfabe with Among Us. Now, boys, are you ready for Mr. Alec Ransom, Mr. Tiger...
Knee, upper
jaw,
Tom, and myself, Poot the Bard, baby. Oh, and of course, your reigning, defending,
yes,
that's me,
undisputed, chooserweight champion of the P3 podcast, the High Chief of the Golden Corral Buffet, Mr. Beef the Legend. Have a wonderful evening, day, night, whenever you watch this podcast. Just do it.
Ice that boner.